What's up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I'm back with another video. This time I want to talk about something that I had come across a while back that I wanted to make I wanted to do it off our brains and bring it up, and maybe we still will, but it's a point that I fight on a regular basis on my channel, and just being online in general and talking to people who are brought up in a certain kind of way. Now, it has to do with your opinion. As you can tell from the title, you are not entitled to your opinion. It's one of those things that it's almost like a cop-out that people hide behind whenever arguing a point. Just like people can justify anything they do, they can justify their opinion by just saying simply, I'm entitled to my opinion. The problem with this is you're entitled to what you can actually prove, what you can argue for and support with information. You can't just, tell me that the sky is below me, and I'm saying to you, no, the sky is not below you, it is above you, and I can prove it because we can look outside and see it. You know what I mean? Plus up is up and down is down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can add things to the conversation to support where I'm coming from. If you can't, just telling me you're entitled to your opinion doesn't hold water. Yet, online, this is one of those things that you get all the time. Be it people arguing about sports, politics, comics, shit, even action figures. You know what I mean? Collecting pop culture shit, movies, whatever. And it doesn't hold water. I had read this article a while back on The Conversation. And it talked about a teacher who he tries to address them as, like, philosophers, and he lets them know that, you are entitled to people say they're entitled to their opinions, but you're gonna have to fight to prove your opinion. You can't just be entitled to it by itself. The problem that we've run into is that a lot of people, especially younger people, I mean older people too, but these days, a lot of younger people, they were born into society where that phrase is thrown around all the time. And the phrase has no weight because it's not the truth. The whole point of having a debate or an argument is that we actually go through and prove our points. We're not just talking for the sake of talking. We're trying to express something and make it clear to the other person why this is valid. So often, I would even say all the time, this isn't the case. Like, I almost guarantee you that in the comments, we're going to have people argue and not listen to what I said up to this point. We're 3 minutes into the video, and people are going to argue and tell me, yeah, I am entitled to my opinion. It's a free country, etc., etc., etc. There's still rules. Freedom is one of those things. Someone created the rules, so you're free within a certain, scope of rules. You're not just free. If you go out and you murder someone today and people see it, you're going to prison. They're going to get your ass. You know what I'm saying? If you go outside and you decide to steal somebody's car and you get caught, you're going to jail. You're probably going to spend a lot of time there. There's a consequence. If it was pure freedom, you could just do shit. It'd be like the Purge. You could just do whatever the fuck you want to do and nothing would happen. And I know this is going into philosophical territory and stuff, but this is factual. The laws were created by people who had power. We don't have power. We're within that system that was created before us. Therefore, all our choices fit within the scope of rules that were created by the people before us who had the power to create these fucking rules. It's very simple. A lot of people don't get this. That's why you have young people who don't understand, authority. I can do whatever I want. Or I love when you hear this with women. I hear it at work with mostly the black women I work with. If it was me, I'm gonna bust him in the face. You're not gonna bust anybody in the face. We're public servants. A customer can talk all the shit they want. You hit them, security is dragging your ass out because you're working within the rules that were set up in the society you live in. You're not above the rules no matter how badass you think you are. You know what I mean? The only time that it changes, and even so, like my hands are registered because I've competed many times. I've been practicing martial arts for over 25 years. I have my little card and everything. If I get into a fight, even if it's self-defense, and I pummel someone, they're going to they automatically, I'm going to be held accountable because I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm not supposed to get into fights with people like that. It's the way the rules have been set. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks because you learn self-defense. You learn martial arts to defend yourself. And if someone puts their hands on you, all bets are off. I'm putting you in the ground. It's simple. But according to the law, that can't be done. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that kind of thing. So I get it. A lot of people think that, you know, because we're in America and there's a lot more freedom here than there is in other places, they think they can just do whatever they want to do in some cases. And that all, it flows into this argument about, you know, I'm entitled to my opinion. You are entitled to have an opinion, but you also have to back up what you're saying. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say. In order for it to be valid and for us to pay attention and for it to, you know, hold water, you need to back up what you say. The internet is full of people. Full of people. I mean, this is why most of you listen to what I'm saying. Because I sit here and I throw more information at you than just, this figure's awesome. Get your figures at Big Bad Toy Store. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. And it's a fucking dollar store toy that Big Bad Toy Store charged you $24.99 for. You know what I mean? Like, no. That's not what you get from me. Even awesome figures, I will tell you the downside to it. You know, Mezco makes some awesome shit, but I'm having trouble trying to make myself justify paying $75 for a 6-inch figure that just has clothes on. You know what I mean? Like, that has, you know, actual fucking material, you know, cloth on their person. They're awesome figures, don't get me wrong, but $75? I don't know. And it's hard to, and with their customer service sucking the way it does, and I told you my experience, I don't want to fuck with them. I don't want to give them any money, but I'm being honest with you. So if something happens to your $75 you know, essentially Marvel Legend or DCUC with cloth over top of the body, and you call them and say, listen, I opened this package and the costume was ripped. I need to send this back to you. Can you send me a new one? And they're going to be like, hold on just a second, and never come back. I don't think you want to pay into that. That's my opinion, but I'm giving you factual information because that was part of my experience. I emailed them, I called them, nothing. You know what I mean? So your opinion, it's only valid when you can actually back it up. Too many people, and I know most of you have come across this, too many people want to just spit whatever the fuck they want to spit, and then they want to hide behind that concept of, you know, entitlement that, you know, that just automatically makes them valid. You know, it's just like agree to disagree. If you're disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing, then no one gives a shit what you have to say, because what you just did is you pulled yourself out of the, you know, the argument. If you're agreeing to disagree because your facts and their facts don't line up, you know what I mean? Or your perspective and the facts that you have given to support your perspective don't line up with the other person, and they're not convincing the other person's perspective and their facts that exist, that real facts, actual facts, not just shit you feel like saying, facts. Because the two things, you guys can't fathom each other's perspective and facts that back up your perspective, then you can disagree. You can completely agree to disagree. You know, I know another thing that's going to happen is people in the comments are going to say, you know, some random person is going to come across this video, someone who hasn't watched any of my other videos and has no idea who I am, no idea what my perspective is on things and how I handle business. They're going to come in and tell me, who are you to tell us that we don't have a right to our opinions? Without even watching the video and without listening. And, you know, their perspective will be invalid because they're not giving me anything to work with. Because I'm not telling you that because I said it, this is what you have to do. What I'm saying is, you know, if you have a debate, we're throwing our points at each other and we're trying to back it up and be intelligent and be, you know, amicable about what we feel about a certain subject or what we know about a certain subject. And we're trying to convey that information or relay, I'm sorry, that information to different people. And, you know, hopefully they'll get it. And if they didn't know before, they'll understand now. When you're doing that, you can't just throw random stuff and then cop out, cop out, cop out. Like, that doesn't work. And we see it a lot because a lot of politicians do this. They cop out, they cop out, they cop out. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about, you know, lowering the deficit, the federal deficit. Then they want to talk about, you know, keeping certain types of immigrants out of the U.S. That wasn't the question. The question was this. They want to talk. You want to talk about, I don't know, ridiculous spending, you know, and they want to talk about, you know, keeping America for Americans. You know what I mean? This is what Trump has been doing all this time, you know, and a lot of people don't pay attention because, like I said, societally speaking, this is the way it's done. It doesn't make it right. And if you're worth your name, you know what I mean, and you got some intelligence, you can see this. It's kind of like the scene in The Matrix Reloaded when Neo meets the fucking architect. The architect does not answer Neo's questions straight up. He gives him a whole bunch of bullshit first. And Neo's like, you didn't answer the question. You know what I mean? Like, what is the fucking Matrix? What is it? Don't tell me about all the other ones. Don't tell me all the systems. Don't tell me all the other shit. Tell me what the fuck the Matrix actually is. That was the question. And that's a lot of the problem that we have, you know? A lot of people just don't get that this is the way things work. And they keep on going, you know, in the wrong direction, and nothing's resolved. If you notice in my comment section, a lot of times when people challenge what I'm saying, and they're respectful about it, and they come at it, you know, calmly, logically, and, you know, with facts or actual information, we go back and forth for a little bit, and by the end of it, both perspectives are clear. I've rarely ever had it where we talk and the person doesn't understand where I'm coming from, especially since I know I'm of a minority. I'm a minority within minorities when it comes to a lot of what I put up. You know, I don't suck the dick of Frank Miller's just about anything because I don't think he's that great of an artist, and I think angry everything is not always the best. There are things in there that are awesome, and I can definitely agree with those things, but it's not always the best. Every time he gets on a book, he always takes everything in the extreme, you know, one direction. It's always extremely dark if the book was originally kind of like in the middle, you know, like Batman was going to the middle. Then Frank Miller got a hold of it. He went all the way dark, straight up grim dark. Fuck everything that was set beforehand. You know, Daredevil. Fuck all what was beforehand. I'm just going to take it completely over the edge in another direction, you know? And that's his style, and I get it. Some people prefer just that, and their aesthetics all stay on that, you know, that side of the spectrum. For me, I like variety, and I love when tone fits the character. I don't like when, you know, fucking Grant Morrison shows up and then wants to pull everything from history of the character and then throw it into a jumbled mess that he's trying to make sound deeper than it actually was. I don't like that. Or I don't like when he ignores the last couple years of continuity to come up with his own version of what happened. I've been reading the same book for a couple years. I don't want someone else to pop in and say what they think happened. I want them to acknowledge what actually happened. So anyway, I'm one of the few that, like, I don't stick with what the popular opinion is, not just to be different. It's just I genuinely do not agree with most of the popular opinion. Most of the time it's set by people who really didn't partake in whatever it is they're talking about. They only went so far, and they heard more people say, you know, this, so they jump on that bandwagon, and because they may have a better outlet to be heard, more people hear them and repeat what they say. And I don't dig that. You know what I mean? I dig keeping it 100% from the heart. If this is the way it is, this is the way it is. You know what I mean? If you really don't get why, you know, everybody likes like I'm not a Nintendo kid. I have played a lot of Nintendo games, but I didn't grow up solely on Nintendo. So when everybody's like Smash Brothers and Zelda and blah, blah, yeah, I played a couple Zelda games, But I don't think Zelda's like the greatest fucking game ever. You know, there's games just as good on other systems. Or I'm not one of those people when you talk hip hop, I'm going to immediately default to Biggie and Tupac as if they're the first and only good rappers that ever existed. You know what I mean? They're not. Same thing with like martial arts. I'm not going to just talk about Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee is the most popular martial artist out there. No, I know tons of other ones, from Sammo Hung to Dick Wei to Mark Zaror. I know so many of them, and I'm going to tell you about them. I'm getting to that, I promise. The same goes for action figures. Just because the way that it's done now is spend a small amount of money, you know what I mean, in comparison to the old days, but then charge an insane amount to your customers, and then turn around and tell them that the manufacturing process is expensive when you own your actual manufacturer plant, your manufacturing plants. You know, Hasbro and Mattel own their plants in China. They own them. So it's not like they're paying some kind of weird fee to use these plants. They are the plant. You know what I mean? And this is something that's factual. You can find this information if you look it up. If you look up and you dig enough, you can find that they own their manufacturing plants in China. If they get new ones and they're, you know, it costs more money, then hey, they got new ones. You know what I mean? But they've owned shit for a long time. That's why they were the top 2 in the world. So when you come across those blogs where guys are saying weird stuff like, you know, it takes 12 figures in a wave to pay for the tooling of one new figure. Come on, dog. Like, really? Really? How does it cost any more than anything else when you already own all of the things that you need to make this stuff? It's like people making things up because it sounds right. You know what I mean? Or it sounds like something to them. It sounds like it makes sense to them, even though logically it doesn't make sense, you know? All the people saying that Batman versus Superman, regardless of the actual film, they're trying to say that the movie was a failure. Are you fucking kidding me? 170 million opening weekend here in the US. Warner Brothers' highest opening ever. And then it made 500 million worldwide. And you're trying to say it was a failure? Come on, man. Like, this is why the fans need to stay in their lane and be fans, and don't worry about the figures, because the figures don't mean that the movie was better. So all this stuff, once again, I'm going to bring it back around because I know I'm talking and I'm going into different directions, but I'm trying to illustrate to you how a lot of people will throw an opinion out there, and then that opinion, because people keep talking about it and keep spreading it and keep spreading it, to a lot of folks that opinion becomes fact. And then people, you know, they stick to that. They're like, you know, I'm entitled to my opinion because this is what I think it is. No, you need facts to back it up. And a lot of times the internet runs with shit, and the shit they're running with is not the fact. And, you know, I'm not some big authority, but I try to keep things logical in my videos. I try to keep things on point so that when we talk, I mean, we love this stuff. So the least we can do is be on point when we talk about this stuff. Because otherwise, what was the point? You know, if you don't know, if you love the turtles, but you don't know what the 4 turtles are, what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? If you don't know who their villain is, what's the point? Then you really don't love the turtles, you know? If you love, you know, comics, but you can't name one comic, you can't name one, what's the point? You know? So having an opinion with nothing behind it, you can't back up what you just said. What's the fucking point? You should have kept your mouth shut and just stayed there with your opinion to yourself, because you can't back it up. So why do I have to even acknowledge what the fuck you had to say? You know? So this is just food for thought. I know many of you have come across this because I've come across this more times than I could fucking count. And it's a tiring thing. It's annoying, you know, that people think that genuinely that's the way it's supposed to be, and it's not. You know, you're entitled to a lot of things, you know, a lot of necessities, but you're not entitled to a lot of the things that we just, you know, we get. A lot of the things that are luxuries, we're not entitled to those things, you know. And opinions, as soon as we talk, you know, a lot of things we say, we have to realize that you should be accountable for what you say. You should stand behind what you say. So just spitting shit out because you felt like it, or because you had an emotional reaction to what you heard, and you had to jump in there and get your point out there without thinking about what your point actually was, it's not really, it's not really good. That's not really doing anything. You're just talking for the sake of talking. Back up what you want to say. If you have an opinion, find facts to back it up so that it can be valid. So you don't just come off as another, doofus on the internet. And I use doofus because I don't want to be too harsh, but it gets tiring. It really does. So anyway, that's it for me. You guys have been great. Peace outside.